Hello, I'm Michelle Kotler, special education attorney, teacher, and creator of the Parents Playbook for Special Education Success. If you've seen my other videos, you know that I tend to be a bit camera shy. I usually don't like to record myself. I tend to do more faceless videos that share out important content that parents need to understand regarding special education. However, a series of events have been happening at the federal level that have caused me to want to come in front of the camera and talk to parents about the current state of special education and disability issues in general in the United States as of September 2025. So, unfortunately, the current administration seems to be engaging in what some folks call a war on disability. You can see here I am looking at an article online from the American Progress, and that is the title of this article, The Trump Administration's War on Disability. And the article goes into all aspects of disability regarding employment, housing, medical care, um, a whole variety of things. Part of that is the impact on students. And since I specialize in special education and special education law for youth from birth to age 21, I'm just going to focus more narrowly on the education piece of this, although I have plenty that I could also say about healthcare and housing and employment and so on. But I'm going to limit this video to the topic of education because there's enough in this area alone that's devastating. And I want to spend some time focusing on this. The Trump administration wants to eliminate the U.S. Department of Education. They went ahead and fired tens of thousands of staffers. I made a separate video about the impact of that. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court recently lifted an injunction which prohibited the government from firing all of these people. It forced them to actually rehire people that had been fired. It prevented them from firing new people. The U.S. Supreme Court, in its infinite wisdom, decided to go ahead and let the Trump administration gut the U.S. Department of Education. So what we have here is we've got mass layoffs going on. We have enormous cuts to funding. I made a separate video about that. The most recent $30 million that was lost. But earlier in the year, we had more than $600 million in teacher training grants cut. We had, in July of this year, $7 billion with a B, $7 billion withheld for this coming school year, including teacher training, before and after school programs, and academic enrichment programs. So many of these programs funded extra support services for children with special needs. Apparently, 10 Republican senators woke up and realized that they have some power and sent a letter to the Trump administration, which then unfroze funds. But because of the uncertainty and all this back and forth and court challenges and cuts and freezes, a lot of these programs are in chaos. They're closing or they're suspending their services because they don't know what's going to happen. And the 2026 budget proposal aims to cut $4.5 billion to Title I and K-12 programs, which can significantly limit IDEA funding. And I think most of us can agree that that funding is already in short supply, given the tremendous needs of some of our youth. There one big, beautiful bill, pardon me while I roll my eyes, will cut $350 billion in public education funds and funnel $51 billion a year in tax dollars to private K-12 scholarships for schools if just half of voucher supporters contribute. So disabled students may not be able to attend or might be able to attend certain private schools, but if they do that, they're going to lose access to the legal protections that are in the federal law because those federal protections do not apply in the same way to private school students. That's the first thing. The second thing is there are many private schools that will not accept students with disabilities, and they don't have to. So what will happen is the public funds, depending on where you live, the public funds can be drained away, siphoned off to private schools that then can refuse to accept your child. Or they might accept your child and then quickly kick your child out due to behavior or poor grades. So then your child will end up back in a very underfunded public school, which has even less services because of cuts to Medicaid as well as cuts to education funds. We have here a survey by the Healthy Schools Campaign. 80% of public school district staff expect to see layoffs of specialized instructional support if Medicaid dollars are cut. 80%. Those are your speech and language therapists. Those are your occupational therapists. Those are your physical therapists. So all these related services personnel that are paid in part by Medicaid dollars now, they are already in short supply. The net result of that is that service times on IEPs get cut back. They get winnowed away to next to nothing. You're going to see a lot of IEPs that are going to have consult only as the so-called service, because they're not going to have the staff to do the jobs. There are already staffing shortages for these positions at public schools, and it's only going to get worse and worse and worse. Then we've got some university issues here with cuts that are going to impact about 3 million people across the country. So this includes services such as training for self-advocacy and developmental disability community support to force more disabled people out of the community. So all in all, just the educational impact alone is devastating. And then you combine it with the coincidental cuts to Medicaid, which also is an important funding source for the public school system. It's a 1-2 punch. And what's going to happen now, because we also have cuts to the staffers at the U.S. Department of Education who used to investigate federal complaints, for example, that would enforce the law and force the states and local jurisdictions to comply with the IDEA and Section 504 and the ADA. All of that is basically done. All of that is over. So right now, if your child is being impacted by this, you really may need to take the law into your own hands, in effect, and learn how to advocate effectively to get your child the resources that they need. Because frankly, the resources are becoming more and more scarce, and only the squeaky wheels are going to get the grease. So I hope you learn how to squeak. And the Parents Playbook for Special Education Success was designed to teach you how to squeak. So please check it out. And I know this is frustrating. It's extremely difficult. It's overwhelming. And I wish you the best of luck. And I truly hope that you will use the Parents Playbook as the resource that I've designed it to be. So thanks for watching. See you next time.